Welcome to the YouTube video, everyone. Standing behind my leg extension here. I was going to show you how to put the seatbelt on, and I will still show you, but I realised I forgot to do an intro. So welcome to the YouTube video. We've got a lower session, and I'm always training legs, but these are usually the days that I have a little bit more time on. I try to keep myself more time to recover better, and it's when I usually record the YouTube videos. So in today's session, I've done abs, calves, leg extension is up next, seated hamstring curl, 45-degree leg press, single leg press, adductors, and a little bit of forearms. So I'll go through the session, a few wee tips and tricks here and there, seatbelt being one big one. If you don't have a seatbelt yet, please fucking get one. It makes a massive, massive difference to your leg training. Honestly, like I'd be really, really lost without this. I find myself quite often being lost without it because I'm really bad for losing them. I bought like 4 of these and it feels terrible doing a leg extension, doing a hack squat, a pendulum squat, or a seated hamstring curl without it. The hack squat and the pendulum squat keeps your hips a lot more stable. Try it, do try it. It really does feel good. The leg extension keeps your hips stable, stops them from lifting up, and then the same thing goes with a seated hamstring curl. So get yourself a seatbelt and start using it. I'm going to pop it on the leg extension just now and just show you what to do with it. So you don't want it to be coming from behind you. You don't want it to be like this because that's doing nothing. You don't want it being like from in front directly under. You want it ideally being kind of behind and below you. So I'm going to go, there's this big bit here, I don't know if you can see that, but instead of going in front of it, I'm going to go behind it so that it's kind of pulling diagonally. I'm pulling down, or it's pulling down and pulling back the weight at the same time. So get that on. But yeah, welcome to the video. I'm going to go through a few things of training and then we shall see later on for possibly some more educational content as well. Let's do it. Good. Good. Pull yourself down hard. Come on. Lovely. Flying. Let's go. Good. Easy, mate. Come on. Yes. Come on. Let's go. Good. Come on. Yes, there's 2 there. Take your time. Be fucking aggressive. Come on. Good. Take your time, there's 1 there. You're fucking rip. Okay. I've done stack for 15 first, then stack again for, I think that was 7 or 8 there. Frustrating because you can't jump in this, it's very light. Usually do it single leg, but in a little bit of a time constraint today. So dual leg, then just a higher rep set, which feels fine, but it's just a bit of a ball ache. But yeah, feels not bad. The mat, or the kind of big pads, keep myself a lot more stable. Chest press yourself against these handles as hard as possible. Like honestly think about like full on tricep extension yourself in. Get this pad lower than you think. You can get it lower than you think. Like I need to hold it open, then rip that down as hard as I can and get myself into position. It's not just like, I'll put it down and wherever it lands, it's fine. Like get yourself a lot more stable. Push yourself in hard. You'll get a lot more from these. No chance, Josh, come on. Very good. Up 2.5 kg aside. Up 2.5 kg aside and upper rep. Whew. Let's do it. I'm going to talk through how I went from 76.5 kg to just under 80 kg in these photos. These are 79.5. I'm just over 80 kg now, and show you how to actually reverse out of your diet properly. So going into the educational side of things, reversing from your diet properly. Now, I've noticed this, and the reason why I'm doing this is that I noticed I'm having a conversation a lot with my clients. One of them has got like a photo shoot with a sponsorship, a company that he's sponsored by, and his diet is finishing up just now, and the photo shoot is in 3 weeks' time. And I was like, we don't want to push that diet any closer to that photo shoot, because you're just going to look, not shit, but you're not going to look as good as you would if you ended it now and started pushing food back up from there. You're going to look, in my opinion, if you're not competing and you're not getting like ridiculously lean, you're going to look better 1 to maybe even 3 months post diet. Again, if you look at these photos for myself, 76.5 kg versus 79.5 kg, and there's 2.5 months between them. I'm not much softer at 79.5 kg than I'm at 76.5. It's 2.5 months later. You get a shorter period of super compensation, maybe again 1 to 3 weeks post diet, where like you just blow up from extra carbohydrates in a good way if you manage it. I'm talking just you get fuller, you've got the exact same level of composition, you know, exact same level of condition, and that's where you'd see a peak week in a bodybuilder's prep. You know, like there's a reason that you don't just compete when you're lightest and you're leanest in a sense. You always have a peak week, and that's to actually fill up, drop off fatigue, look better, get fuller, get more vascular, all these different things. So it's the same with like dieting in general. But again, if you're not so fucked and if you're not so lean, reversing out slowly, you can extend that for like a good 1 to 3 months, looking really good. You may not be quite as conditioned, like I'm not quite as conditioned as I was at 76.5 kg, but I've still got midsection, you know, detail. I'm still very vascular. You can't really see here, it's 8 o'clock at night. But when I'm training, I feel big, I feel vascular, I feel really good. And to do that, you literally just need to make, you literally just need to do this. But like the main thing is just not being a tit, not going and eating whatever you want. You know, after the diet's finished, you don't have that goal of like getting lean. You don't have that extra drive of like, I can't wait to see what I look like here. You've now got a big long gaining phase ahead of you, most likely. And a lot of people just use that as like, oh, that's me kind of done. I can chill out, I can relax now. That's just recipe to look like shit in the space of the next 1 to 3 months. You know, like you've spent so much time working hard to get into this position, you might as well reverse out well and keep that. You know, like use what you've done and hold it for longer. That's not trying to stay lean, you know, like not pushing up your food and being scared of that. I don't think it's a good thing for you to try and stay lean so much. But if you can just have a nice slow rate of gain control things, you'll thank yourself for it and you look really good for it. So to actually do this, what do we need to do? The initial bump up in foods, I wouldn't do anything. I've got my electrolytes in here. Code Josh10 at Pit Stop Nutrition. It's the HR Labs one. It's the fruits flavour, which is actually very nice. So I highly recommend if anyone's needing some electrolytes. But making sure the initial food increase isn't too high, but it's also again not too safe, and you're like, right, I'll just add in an extra 100 calories. That's going to do fuck all. You know, it's not really going to make any difference. It's not going to make any changes. Make sure you get a good I'd say 50 to 125 grams of carbs in straight away from your end of diet. 50 grams of carbs is 200 calories, 125 carbs is 500 calories because you get 100 calories per 25 grams. So that initial bump up, make sure it's decent, the actual size of it, to have effect. That's going to improve your fullness. You're going to drop off diet fatigue. Your goal here is to get yourself closer to homeostasis. Homeostasis being where your body wants to be. When you're dieting, it's a stress on your body. It's a stressor. It's not mental stress, but it's physical stress. Your body does not want to be there. It doesn't want to be in that deficit to survive, to do everything it wants and needs to do. It doesn't want to be in a deficit and losing weight because it's worrying. It's like, fuck, well, this can't happen. This can't go on for longer. So it starts to show you signs of that diet fatigue. You feel like shit, your energy goes down, all these things. We're looking to come away from that, build the food up and get closer to homeostasis. So that's kind of your maintenance calories. So we build up the food initially, initial increase of carbohydrates mainly because we're looking to fill up glycogen stores to make yourself look bigger, fuller, better. You might need a little bit more protein in just to make sure that you're not having too much trace protein from your carbohydrate sources. So that's something to be aware of. You want to make sure that you've got at least 25 grams of highly bioavailable protein in each meal. That's the lowest end of it. I look at being more so towards 30 to 35 grams. We can go into how to be splitting up your nutrition, your macronutrients and stuff in another video. I think someone might have actually asked that in the comment section about how to split your macronutrients, how to set them up for gaining phases, how to set them up for dieting phases. But let's take the macronutrients. Let's say at the end of the diet, you're on 200 grams of protein, 300 grams of carbs, and 50 grams of fat on a training day. 200 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat on a rest day. A little bit more fats on the rest day because you're pulling them down on the training day to give yourself more room for carbohydrates to prioritize your training performance. Sorry, I felt like I was like rap god there, speaking rapid. But when you've got that in place, let's say you've got the end of diet targets, that's when you finished on, that's still quite high for the end of the diet, but you would look to maybe bump up to 400 carb and 300 carb. You're not just looking to go, oh yeah, I'll add in an extra 25. And with that, you might look to add a little bit more fats. And if you feel that you react and respond better to having more fats, like overall in general, you feel better from doing so, feel free to bump them up a little bit as well, 5 or 10 grams. But protein, if it's already at 200 grams, it doesn't really need to go much higher until you're maybe up at like 600 grams of carbs. You're getting a lot of trace protein in from those carbohydrate sources. You need to bring the protein up from there. So I'd be looking at bringing the carbohydrates up mainly, and making sure you prioritize them around the training window and also when you go to sleep. So your final meal before you go to bed, always have a good amount of carbohydrates in. It doesn't need to be crazy, but just to make sure that your sleep quality is good. Pre-workouts where you want to most kind of prioritize those carbohydrates. Post-workout, you still want to have carbs in there, but it's not anywhere near as kind of important. It doesn't need to be as much carbohydrates. We want to make sure you get most carbs in your pre-workout meal as you start to come out that dieting phase, because training performance is really important. This is the next kind of big one to mention, making sure that you're actually putting the food to good use. Like if you're adding in more food and then your training numbers just stay very similar, again, the diet's finished, so you've not got any like short-term motivation. You maybe don't hit your sessions as often, you're not in the gym as often as you should be, but most people, let's say they'll still get into the gym. Are you actually fucking putting that food to good use inside the gym? Are you getting after it? Are you applying yourself out? Are you taking the progressions that you should be taking based off of the increase in body weight, the increase in calories, the increase in glycogen fullness? Like all of this stuff, making sure that you are actually putting it to good use. Now, it's maybe an unhealthy way of thinking. People probably say, oh, it's an eating disorder or something like that, some form of disorder. But I'm thinking when I get a food increase, if I don't progress here, I'm literally just getting fat. It's not entirely true, but I'm thinking to myself, I've got more fucking food. Like, why would I not be stronger right now? I need to make sure that I put this good use. So when I'm getting towards the back end of a set and I'm thinking, oh, am I going to get this +1 or not? It's going to be really dodgy. I'm like, well, I've got more food, so I'm going to make sure that I progress and it turns into muscle. Actually making sure that the food that you are putting in is going towards you building muscle and not building fat. Insulin sensitivity we'll get on until a wee minute, but making sure your training performance is really good. So your numbers are going up on a consistent basis. Not every single exercise and every single set and every single thing that you do needs to progress left, right and centre, but as a whole, your numbers should be moving up. I always say with progressions, it's not going to be linear. If you see it as a graph and it goes up over time, it's not going to be a perfectly straight line. It's going to be kind of bumpy and jagged. There's going to be some times where it comes down a little bit. If you don't progress perfectly in a session, it doesn't matter. You just pick yourself up and make sure you progress in the next one. But really getting that extra drive for your training, because at the back end of the diet, you're going to be a little bit cooked. Like your ability to switch on your emotions, your ability to really turn up and have at it and have a bit more aggression is going to be reduced, because your testosterone production realistically is going to be reduced. when you're leaner and when you're and again kind of further away from homeostasis. So using it all to your advantage. So train hard, train well. Don't try adding loads more volume because you're not going to recover. Again, your hormones are going to struggle to actually recover from that as well. Making sure you keep volume pretty similar. Slowly titrate that up if you need to, but realistically, just get stronger and make sure your performance stays really good. Insulin sensitivity, I was speaking about it there. So that pretty much determines how much of the food gets turned into fat and how much of it gets turned into muscle. You want to stay insulin sensitive. You don't want to be insulin resistant. With that, how to actually do so? No binging, no just like eating loads and loads of food, because that's going to take away from it massively. Making sure you continue to keep your movement high, so making sure you get your cardio in, making sure you get your steps in. Just because you're not dieting anymore doesn't mean that you don't do any cardio, you don't do any steps. Make sure you stay on the ball with that. Make sure that your stress is low, make sure that you're sleeping well. All these different things, they obviously play into progress as a whole, but keeping your insulin sensitivity in a good spot, small walks around your meals, making sure that you're not having way too much in one meal and then very little in the other. Keep things very consistent. You know, insulin sensitivity is really, really important, and it's something a lot of people will overlook. And again, like they start getting a little bit slack on their movement and they don't really bother with it. Making sure that glucose disposal solids post your meals, you know, after your meals, making sure that you're moving about, that you're getting things done there, not getting slack on that. So yeah, training really well, making sure the initial bump up in foods is good, but it's not way too much, not way too little. Insulin sensitivity come down to again movement, training performance, stress management, sleep, all these different things. Your hormone production as well kind of leads into that too. So that's something to mention there. Other stuff, the actual increases afterwards. So when you do add more foods in, you know, you have your initial bump up, and let's say your body weight's not coming up. Don't try and keep your body weight the exact same. You do want to see a good rate of gain, a good consistent rate of gain. So I usually say 1 to 1.5% per month of your body weight. So 1% of my body weight per month is 0.8 kg, 1.5 is 1.2 kg. So ideally, you're looking to see on a weekly average 0.2 to 0.4 kg roughly. Now, if you don't have a coach already and you know you use their sheets and you get an average body weight, if you don't have a coach right now, a lot of people watching this that are looking for advice will probably be in that situation. Take your body weight every single day and then average it out at the end of the week. So on a Sunday, take the average and then look at it from the previous week. If it is down, add more food in. If you're holding body weight, add more food in. If you're up in weight and if you're up in your desired weight, you don't need to add any more food in. Now, when you add more food in, where do I add it? How much do I add? I think a good baseline is plus 25 grams of carbs just to your training days and your rest days. So let's say again, you bump your food up to 400 carbs, 300 carbs, you add in 25 grams of carbs. So you can put that wherever you want. Again, ideally prioritize that pre and post workout. But if you can, just get like a little bit more carbohydrates and don't try and add in, you know, 50, 75 carbs like for your increases. Don't take big, massive jumps, because at that point, your body's just going to gain loads of weight and you're not going to feel great for that. You can only build muscle at a certain rate. If you're adding on more body weight than again 1 to 1.5% per month, you're literally just going to be getting fat. So making sure your food increases aren't too small, but again aren't too big. 25 grams of carbs each week as a baseline. Now, if you notice that that's not touching the sides, like it's not really doing anything for you, you're not gaining weight, then you can increase those increases themselves. You can go up to an extra 50 grams of carbs to your baseline diet targets, or your baseline targets, sorry, from where you're at. That's my bad. And if you need to, you can also add in fats. You know, fats, carbs, and protein. Fats have 9 calories per gram, protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. So if you're struggling to get the body weight up and the body weight moving, it wouldn't be a bad shout to add in a little bit more fats. Now, again, as you start to get up in your calories, you know, 3,000, 2,500 calories plus, I wouldn't recommend just continuously adding more fats. If you get above 80 grams of fat, 90 grams of fat on a daily basis, you're just not going to feel good for it. Pretty lethargic. It's going to slow down your digestion massively. You just don't feel really good for it, in my opinion. I would be looking at bringing your carbohydrates up. Let's say you're eating 3,500 calories. I'd much rather it be 200 grams of protein, 600 grams of carbs, and 60 grams of fat, instead of 200 grams of protein, 500 grams of carbs, and what would that be? Something like 90 to 100 grams of fat. Better to prioritize your carbohydrates. So, yeah, I think that kind of covers everything, to be honest. Making sure that you reverse out your diet well. If you do have, you know, a holiday coming up for summertime, if you're watching this, you don't have a coach, you've got a holiday coming up for summertime, when you plan out when you're starting your diet, when you're ending your diet, don't have it finish right before the holiday. You know, don't have your diet finish right before the holiday. Give it a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even 4, and start slowly feeding back up into that so that you look bigger, fuller, you're more vascular, and you still have that same composition. So I know this is a big long yap, but hopefully it helps. You know, there can be coaches out there that when they're thinking about what they're going to do for their clients, how they're going to plan things out, this might help. So it should be helpful for coaches and for even my clients. People, like, again, I've had a lot of people kind of ask me about this, or what am I going to do when I'm going away on holiday, like a month after the diet finishes? I'm not going to look good for that. Yes, you will. If you can hold yourself to good standards, for sure you will. You look better, in my opinion. So, yeah, guys, I think that is everything. Hopefully you're enjoying like a little bit of the educational stuff, and I do like filming my training sessions, but I just do the exact 5 same sessions every single week, so it gets to a point where I'm like, it's not much different to record than what I'm used to recording. So providing a bit more value on this platform, long form content for people who are actually interested in it, I think is a good thing to do. So you can let me know if it's shite, tell me it's shite. If there's ways to improve it, tell me there's ways to improve it, and I take that on board and help improve as much as I can. But that's all. Thank you all for watching. As always, please do like, subscribe, follow. Sorry, I'm used to doing the outro for the Natural Physique podcast. Follow and 5-star rating on Spotify. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and please do share in your stories if these videos are helping you. So yeah, that's all. Have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch you.